Very good afternoon. I would like to bid to my respected lecturer, Mr. Lamari, and my fellow classmates. So my name is Danea Amalyn Binti Ahmad, and today I will be presenting on the impact of bilingualism and context on children's language learning for the subject TSLB 3293. And basically, this is based on my report case that I have written, and I hope it gives you some insights into how bilingualism operates in real life educational settings. Bilingualism plays a significant role in how children acquire, process, and use language. So, in this case study, I focus mainly on sequential bilinguals, meaning they first learn English as their primary language and later on picked up a second language, which in this case is French. So, sequential bilinguals and simultaneous bilinguals are two different types of bilinguals. Simultaneous bilinguals, they pick up two languages at the same time, while sequential bilinguals, they specifically pick up a second language after the age of 3. That is what makes these two bilinguals different. And basically, my goal was to examine how bilingualism, along with specific contextual factors, affect their language learning journey. And the languages used in this video that I've observed are English as their L1 and French as their L2. This is my research focus. So these are my research questions. First of all, what type of bilingualism is present in the sample? We've covered that. What are the different contexts of language learning that influence the child's language learning? We will cover that after this. And how far does bilingualism and different contexts impact the sample's language learning, which we will also cover after this. This is my finding in chart form, which you can examine after this. But basically, the study explores how bilingual language development is shaped by three key contexts. And the first key context is the language context, which refers to how language is taught, used, and interacted with. And the second key context is the learner context, which focuses on individual differences such as their motivation and their confidence in using said languages. Meanwhile, the third key context is the learning context, which will focus on the environment, the teaching styles, and the peer interaction. So these three areas are crucial for understanding the impact of bilingualism on young learners. So let's move on to the methodology. You can scan the QR if you wish to look at my observation checklist, but to get the data, I basically analyzed a video, which I've attached in the previous slide, of children in a bilingual school environment. So English was their dominant language used for communication, while French was introduced in structured learning sessions. So I used checklists to observe the language used, the task responses, and social interactions during the lesson. And my aim was basically to understand how the children use both languages across different contexts and activities, and how this switching between these two languages affect their learning behavior. Let's move on to the first context, which is the language context. This case study shows that bilingualism, when supported by a balanced curriculum and positive learning environment, it actually enhances children's language development. So the children demonstrated fluency in both English and French with no resistance or preference, indicating the success in developing balanced bilingualism. So you can refer to in the video at minute 12 where they showed how they do not really prefer one language over the other. And context, okay, played a key role. English was used in informal settings, you see, while French appeared in guided tasks, helping children separate the functional use of these two languages. So the supportive environment, which includes singing songs together, visual aids, repetition, reinforcement from the teachers, made both languages accessible and meaningful, which promotes deeper comprehension to the students. They do not feel foreign when they're speaking in either language. And this highlights that bilingualism, when combined with positive attitudes and structured support, leads to improved engagement, language use, and, well, cognitive ability, cognitive flexibility in children's learning. Now we move on to the second context, which is the learner context. So, like I've said just now, the learner context focuses on their confidence, their motivation, and everything that the learners themselves feel towards the language. So learners who felt more secure in their language ability were more willing to take risks, to make mistakes, to speak up and experiment with new vocabulary, which is good for their language development. In this case, the learner context had a clear impact on bilingual development because the children, as sequential bilinguals, show fluency in both English and French. And they also show good engagement in classroom tasks in both languages. So some showed high levels of confidence speaking in French, while others sort of hesitated. And this kind of reflects how the internal learner context can influence the language use, the participation of the students in class, and, well, their overall progress, basically. And the school played an important role because they have created a supportive and inclusive environment where children could practice both languages naturally by communicating with native speakers. So it was mentioned in the video that the two teachers' assistants are native speakers in French, which the students could practice their French with. And these conditions fostered balanced bilingualism where neither language was dominant because both are used in a balanced manner, and it kind of shaped the students to actually show comfort switching between them depending on the context, the task, or the settings, basically, or depending on the people that the children are communicating with. So if the children's have to communicate with their English teachers, then they wouldn't have problems switching from French to English. But it's also vice versa when they have to communicate with the native speakers, which are also their teachers' assistants. Now, let's move on to the last context, which is the learning context. The learning context played a significant role because the classroom environment must be fun and engaging, right? Would you want to be in a classroom that is dull and that does not promote productivity? Exactly. So the classroom environment in the video, it was fun, it was interactive, and it was supportive. Teachers incorporated songs, visual aids, and gestures, making French lessons enjoyable and low pressure. This approach helped reduce the pressure of learning a second language that might be foreign to some people, and it creates a low anxiety environment where students feel safe to participate. And as a result, the children demonstrated the increased engagement and responsiveness during lessons. So, for instance, they were willing to engage in French conversations, and they showed positive reactions when receiving corrective feedbacks from their teachers. So these feedbacks are actually important because they help them to refine their language skills, and they also highlight the importance of a supportive environment for language development, especially in children. And let's not forget about the curriculum, the bilingual curriculum supported by engaging teaching methods enable the children to use both of these languages in different contexts. So the classroom environment also encouraged collaborative learning between peers, between the teachers and the students, where they have to like constantly interact with each other, and this leads to the fosterization. The foster. This leads to them fostering a sense of community and teamwork. In short, basically, to summarize everything, a well a well-designed and supportive learning environment not only reduces anxiety, but also promotes motivation, confidence, engagement, all of these values which are essential for successful acquisition of languages. Now let's look at the outcomes. So overall, the impact of bilingualism in the setting was mostly positive. Children showed signs of early, how do I say this, meta-linguistic awareness and, well, flexibility when it comes to communication. And they use English to support their understanding of French, and they were also able to engage and cooperate effectively during activities that were conducted by their teachers in in their respective languages, showing confidence in using both languages, albeit in separate contexts. Well, however, though, some learners relied heavily on English and needed more support to express themselves confidently in French. It was observed in the video. However, I must mention that I do not have the chance to observe their language use at home, which plays an important role in this observation. But that is not our main focus because our main focus is in the educational setting. Now, I would like to mention the implications for practice. Based on this observation, several implications can be drawn. Teachers should embrace the use of the first language as a learning tool rather than discourage the use of it at all in classrooms. At the same time, they should also provide more exposure to French through authentic input, such as songs, literature, stories, and conversation. It's also important to tailor tasks based on the learner's confidence and the learner's learning styles because it maintains the fun, the entertainment in an inclusive environment. All right. In conclusion, bilingualism positively influences children's language learning when supported by the right context, the right materials. And in this case study, English helped scaffold French learning while learner traits while the learners traits themselves play an important role, whether they are willing to practice their French or not. Because when they have the confidence and the motivation to practice their second language, it wouldn't be as foreign as it used to be for them as the day goes by. So the supportive, engaging classroom also plays an important role. The school also plays an important role, especially in making sure that the curriculum supports bilingualism. That is all from me. Thank you for your attention and thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to shoot them to me. Thank you.